All right. Okay, Jack, next slide, please. Okay, so I'm Chris, and I'm currently the president of the Clean Energy Co-op. And again, I'd like to welcome everyone. I would like to introduce the board members and leadership that we have. So I guess let's see if I can. I don't know. I think that's going to be too confusing to spotlight. I know it can be done, but I'm really a rookie at this. So you'll see people as the meeting progresses. So we'll start with the financial report by Jack, and he's going to cover the finances as a treasurer, as well as the finances of the projects that we have done in the past. And then Project Development Committee, our chair of that committee at the moment is Marion Biddle, and she will cover Weaver's Way, our most recent project, as well as the additional ones that are hopefully coming up in the future. The Southeast PA chapter report, that's going to be Brent Gross, and he's the treasurer of the Southeast PA chapter. He's stepping in for Joy Baxter, who's the chair. She hopes to be on this meeting, but she's en route to music practice. And then we'll have a board election. Chuck Hine will organize that, but it will actually be through the Zoom polling option. And then any questions and comments, we're always interested in hearing from people. So if you want to type it into the chat, if it occurs to you during the meeting, or if you want to just wait, and typically we're a small enough group that people can just verbally ask their questions if they're interested at that time. And then we'll adjourn, and I would ask the board members to stay for a short board meeting to reorganize. Okay, Jack, you're on.
All right. So I will start by just kind of summarizing how our co-op works financially. Our past projects are generating a recurring revenue stream, and that is really important because that pays for our annual expenses as well as the dividends on the preferred shares that we've issued. We have 6 past projects. 3 of them are here. They're either set up as loans, which we did to the for-profit entities that could deal with and want the tax incentives themselves. So that's the Anthill Agroforestry Farm and the Will-O-Wisp Farm. Both of those were loans. Anthill has since paid off their loan, so they're no longer a revenue stream per se, but we did finance that project and we still feel some ownership of it, even though there's none. The key is that money comes back in and is net positive cash flow to us so that we can invest and recycle those funds into new projects. The other 3 projects that are more recent are the Stourbridge project in Honesdale, the Unitarian Congregation in Wyoming Valley, and the Ritz Company Playhouse in Hawley. So those were all projects in the last 4 years. In total, these projects have cost us almost $430,000 or more than that. And they've generated 1.2 or almost 1.2 gigawatt hours of electricity, clean electricity. So that's a positive benefit to the communities in which they reside, as well as the world in total. And it's our preferred shares that are enabling that financing. So we have had preferred shares issued for 8 consecutive years and paid the dividend on them. This year, there were no requests to repurchase shares from any of the ones holding them back in January. But we have repurchased shares from past members. I think the total was 6 in past years. In June this year, we issued 42 additional preferred shares to 21 co-op members who and that includes 8 who had not previously purchased shares. people. So that's the $42,000 that came in, plus the recycling of previous funds that came back from those 6 previous projects, is what enabled us to finance the project that Marion's going to talk about in more detail when she gets up at Weaver's Way in Philadelphia. So just to summarize, we have a total of 267 preferred shares outstanding, and that's held by 54 different members of the co-op. So that's, 29%, almost a third of our membership are also investors, which is great, including now 14 of those 54 members are from the Southeast region. They may or may not be chapter members per se, but their mailing address is somewhere in the Southeast. So it's a rough estimate. And yes, $100,000 per preferred share was the purchase price. So just to kind of highlight how this works, and I've got the detailed QuickBooks reports on the next 2 pages. But in general, every year our depreciation deductions are more significant than our other net income, so that the IRS considers us not a profitable corporation. We have a carried forward loss every year. Now, unfortunately, that's not true in Pennsylvania. It has different rules for accelerated depreciation. So we actually do pay some Pennsylvania state taxes. Eventually that'll catch up. Federal allows us to accelerate the depreciation, whereas that's not true in the state of Pennsylvania. But to date, the 7 projects we've invested in have received, or expect to receive in the case of Weaver's Way, more than $69,000 of rebates and grants money. So that's contributed to the success of these projects, as well as we've reinvested more than or almost $108,000. 108 thousands of dollars. So that's those prior projects feeding us additional cash back, or in the case of Anthill, it's actually them paying off the loan that allowed us to recycle the funds directly into new projects. And in the last 4 projects, we have leveraged $150,000, or almost so, from 3 additional outside tax equity investors. And we've done that by creating a subsidiary limited liability corporation where the co-op is the majority owner, but these other individuals or entities have a partial ownership or minority ownership of the LLCs. So they put that cash into the project and taken out non-cash benefits, so mostly losses and or tax credits, which they can benefit from on their own tax filings. The first of those LLCs will actually complete its depreciation schedule next year in 2025. And so we will then simplify that probably in 2026 by acquiring all the interest in that LLC and then closing it out, dissolving it. And the reason we do this is because we have tax benefits that we would like to use but have not been able to use. Because we are a nonprofit, not profitable corporation, let me say it that way, we actually have over $27,000 in carried forward federal tax credits, which we have not been able to use.
Why not?
Because we don't pay taxes at the federal government. So those tax credits are accumulating and just carrying forward every year on our tax filing, which is fine. Some years in the future, we will probably use them. They can carry up to 25 years as we understand it. So we've still got another 15 years on the original Cooperage tax credit, which we took 100% of. And so, that's one of the reasons we have on the more recent projects have used this tax equity investor and the subsidiary LLCs as a way to not have us just hold those credits, but in fact monetize them with those investors' cash. So any questions about that kind of structure or concerns about it? We found it to be pretty useful, and it's actually, we didn't invent it or anything like that. We found it elsewhere. Okay. One other thing oh, yes, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm wondering how many people are confused, as I am, by it says we leveraged nearly 150,000 from 3 different tax equity investors via I can't quite read it. Majority owned subsidiaries LLC. I'm not exactly sure what that means, so maybe you can break that down a little bit.
Okay,
I know
I'll try.
everybody else knows what it means, just me.
No, it's pretty obscure. So again, we have a subsidiary corporation, a limited liability corporation. We are a majority owner of that. At least 51% are owned by our co-op. And then we have recruited these individuals or other LLCs that have cash and are making profits, but are willing to put cash into that subsidiary in order for them to get the tax discounts, the tax incentives. So they've given us nearly $150,000 through the 4 different LLCs.
Yeah, and just a point of clarity on that, each of those LLCs owns a project. So like,
Yeah, one project.
right. So like the new Germantown store, there is an LLC specifically for those panels. And that's the LLC that this tax investor has contributed to. And the co-op doesn't pay them any money. It all comes from tax credits and, the fact that they get to write depreciation off that gets passed through to them for their taxes. So it's a way for the Clean Energy Co-op to have more money to pay for projects without actually having more money because it's coming to tax benefits.
Yeah, so
right?
it's a kind of standard practice in the real estate
Yeah.
industry for leveraging tax incentives so that we don't have to raise all the money ourselves, but rather we get some money from preferred shares, we get some money from recycled funds from prior projects, and we get money from the tax equity investor. Yeah, John.
Is this like a secret who they are, or are they people or entities? What exactly is this?
There are 2 entities. They are LLCs owned by local community members, businesses typically, or they have a business, and then 1 individual. And we haven't gotten their permission to share their names, so I kind of hold
Okay,
back.
great. That's fine.
And also, in the chat, Zach was asking about our tax equity investors, members of the co-op. They aren't necessarily to start with, but we asked them to join and they have.
Or at least one of them has. I don't remember about the other 2.
Oh, okay.
And yes, this is basically a special purpose entity in Mark's termination there. And so that link he's got is another descriptor of these structures, these financial structures. Jenny, did you
Yeah.
have a question? You're on mute.
I wondered if you could, to the extent it's convenient, say a little more about the grants and rebates. What's the source of those?
Sure. In the first project we did at the Cooperage, as well as the 2 farms, they qualified as renewable Rural Energy for America program from the USDA, REAP. And so they each got a 25% match from the USDA grant. And then in the Ritz project, as well as the current Weaver's Way project, the utilities have since introduced a rebate program for solar projects. So the Ritz got money from PPL, and we expect, although it may be a year up to before we get the cash, that Weaver's Way will also receive a rebate from PECO.
Now, why would Pico be giving? Because because we're putting energy into the
They're
grid. I mean,
reducing their peak demands.
right. Okay.
So it's covered under Act 129 in Pennsylvania, which is their energy efficiency and capacity reduction, demand reduction.
And so will those grants likely continue on for future projects?
Don't know. It all
Oh, so
depends
it's
on
decided.
eligibility
Oh, okay.
project by project.
Thank you.
Sure.
Also, Lisa's saying there is an update on the PICO incentive. We will get it much sooner. That's good news.
We hope so. Yeah. Thanks, Lisa, for telling us that. Well, I'll let Marion tell more of the fun. So
Also,
one
I
last
don't know-
thing.
Jack, do you want to address Brent's question here, or we could wait on it? I know there are some new rules about transferring tax credits. Can we transfer those $27,000 worth of credits?
Yeah, so we cannot do that historically. We could only do it for a new project. Once the project is financed and producing, it's no longer transferable. But it's also, the market for those is still immature, and it's currently selling at only 90% of the value of the credit in the open market. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. Of course, we could do a private transaction, but it'll be interesting to see how that transferability and saleability of tax credits proceeds in the future. One last thing I want to discuss, and it's a new thing we did this year. For the first time, we had cash on hand at a significant level that we invested it in short-term certificates of deposits at the Dime Bank. And the result of that was we got about $992 of interest that was received into our bank account when those matured. But what the Dime or any bank does, of course, is they are investing our funds that we deposit with them into other things and using the returns from that, whether those other things are aligned with our mission as the Clean Energy Co-op, is a question in my head always. I mean, that $992 might have been invested in a bond from a polluting fossil fuel company. We don't know what the Dime does to raise their money. Now, certainly the Dime is a local bank. We hold our checking account with them as well. And they do a lot of local loans in the community here in the Northeast. But they could just as well be investing it in federal treasury bonds or corporate bonds, or who knows. And so I would really like to hear from members in general, maybe not tonight, but at any time, on your thoughts, concerns, comments, questions about this practice. The bond, the CD rate has fallen since the interest rates were reduced, so we probably won't do this again soon. But in general, I'd like to understand people's comfort with the co-op raising money from uncertain sources in this situation. Kathy?
What about the fund in Colorado that Seeds used to put money into that funds solar things?
Yep. So Kathy is referring to another entity that's going to have a confusing name for everyone here, called the Clean Energy Federal Credit Union, which is based in Colorado, in Boulder, I believe. I'm a member of it. I've been a member of it since it was founded. I've heard about it first from the American Solar Energy Society. And They are a credit union which spends all of its deposits on funding loans for residential energy improvement, solar systems, EV car purchases, and or other residential projects that are putting clean energy as a result of the loan. So, that's certainly a better source of interest if we wanted to deposit funds with them. And I have thought about that in the past, but we haven't.
I don't think they pay much interest. Like I have an account with them and I just leave some money there waiting for a clean energy co-op project. But
So their
yeah.
interest rate on their CDs is variable. They do
Yeah,
change it
okay.
frequently.
Mhm.
So it ranges, usually it's a little more than 2%. If anything less than 2%, obviously is not useful to us, I believe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just interested in people's thoughts, opinions, or other options such as that, if you know of others. Yeah, John.
Oh, sorry.
I was wondering if I could make a motion that the executive committee take this under advisement, either form a committee or assign someone to decide, because this is actually complicated question. We've been investing in green stuff forever. And it was a big stink hole for a while, but now there are a lot of things out there. And but it still requires prudence, and then somebody has to keep their eye on it. And I don't just think you kind of say, well, what about this bank? What about that? I think it's a lot deeper than that. And but I think it's a very good question. And Jack, I totally appreciate your depth and how you present this stuff, because I almost understand it, which is really, terrific. So thanks so much for what you do.
Thank you,
Jack.
John. Yeah, and we do have a finance committee that oversees and guides the type of things we're doing here. So if anybody's wanting to serve on that finance committee, definitely reach out to me. I would love to have you. We haven't been meeting on a regular basis, but we do meet on an as-needed basis. Okay,
Yeah,
that's all the.
mhm.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
just going
Other
to add
questions?
one more thing. The challenge is, like in an ideal world, the co-op wouldn't actually have any money that it wasn't ready to invest. But if a project isn't ready, the option would be to give the money back to people and then have them invest again. So it's just a way of saying, okay, we're going to get a project. We just need to hold the money briefly. So it's the co-op really doesn't want to have money in cash, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
That's
Um,
right.
Jason has an interesting comment at Northwest PA Investment Co-op, and he gives us the website for that. We use treasury bills for a similar purpose. Usually it's possible to look at a bank's financials and see how much is in loans versus how much is in investments, which can identify when banks are doing a lot of investing, although this doesn't give any info about the detail of the loans or investments. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
I've just put up here the balance sheet from September 30th. So we are currently a little cash rich, although a little of that has gone out. The last payment to Solar States is just about due. So the co-op put its last $8,000 into the LLC since October 1st. And so this cash balance is a little lower than it is showing here. And then our income statement to date, or at least September 30th, all the LLCs made their payments to the parent corporation in the form of management fees. And so that happened in July every year. So the income is good and our expenses are well under control. And we are very happy to have a bookkeeper that we pay a measly $100 a month for all the work she does for us. It's amazing. Any questions or further comments about our finances?
Would you go back to the balance sheet for a minute, please? I was kind of studying it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and if anybody's interested,
I
we
just
can-
need another minute. Oh,
Okay.
my, there's nothing there. Oh, okay.
Jack,
You have Dime Bank CD number 2. Where's Dime Bank CD number 1? Is that from another
we
year?
cashed it out. It's already
Okay.
matured.
Okay.
Yes, John.
I want to volunteer for your committee.
Okay, great.
If
We
you
will
if you
contact
promise to be on it though, yeah.
Jack's the chair as the
Excellent.
treasurer.
Okay, great.
Thanks, John.
The fee for the Zoom, is that a yearly thing? That's on the next
Yes.
page? Okay.
I'm done looking now. Thank you. I just was, thank you.
Certainly, anytime. All right, I will turn the story
Okay.
over to Mary.
That's me. Okay, so this is our project. And if you were here in the very beginning, you would have seen a little bit of the video, which shows very detailed on how this was built.
The video.
So,
No, they
and
didn't
you know,
have the video.
you can get there's a link to it on the cleanenergy.coop website. So everyone can enjoy. Anyway, it's pretty fun. But this project was a long time in coming. But this is a brand new store for the Weaver's Way Cooperative. It's in Germantown, which is part of Philadelphia. And it's the first project that we've done in southeastern PA. The installation happened in August. It was super hot, which you can't tell from the video, but they were coming in at 6 and leaving by 2 because they were sweating. But anyway, they did a great job. It's 140 panels. It's the biggest project so far, right, Jack? Biggest one. Yes.
Yes.
But even though it's so big, it's on top of a grocery store, and a grocery store has refrigerators, freezers, air conditioning, you know, people coming in and out, doors opening. So it will produce about 22% of the grocery store's electricity over the course of the year. Right now it's doing more like 40%, but that's because the sun's still high up in the sky and the air conditioning isn't a big requirement. So, but it's doing well. We just got the permission to operate from PECO, which is the energy company down here. And I just included this little slide showing you 3 sunny days in October and how it, you know, generates electricity from 7 a.m. to 6:30. And what? 6:30 right there. I looked it up. And these are very sunny days. If there were clouds or anything, you'd see it dip, but not here. So anyway, is there any questions about that project?
Great.
Okay, there's a
I have a
ton of information
question.
on the website if you want to see.
I have a
Yes?
question.
Mm-hmm.
Are they happy?
Yeah. Yes, very happy. And you will see a video at the very end of this that Brent will show with some happiness. So
And how much might this array save Weaver's Way in terms of electric bills?
So in the beginning, it's kind of on par with what they're paying right now. But over time, assuming electricity goes up from PECO, then they will begin to save more money. But right now, their main motivation was to have solar and clean energy. And the idea of having something, you know, that you are literally generating electricity on the roof and then using it right there. That was part of what appealed for them. And they're going to put a display inside the store. They haven't done that yet, but they will put a display up to just, you know, show how it's working. And yeah, I think they're very enthusiastic about.
And how many years till they pay that off?
Well, so the PPA, the power purchase agreement, which is how we have this one set up, is a 25-year power purchase agreement.
Okay. Mhm.
And so they will be paying an electric bill to the Clean Energy Co-op or the LLC for that time. And but there's many places at which if they chose, they could like buy it out after 6 years. It's a fairly large sum, but then it gets smaller. So at some point they could just decide they want to take it on, and then theoretically they would save more money if they did that. But that's all. But the basic time frame is 25 years.
Did the store go through efficiency steps to make sure that their refrigeration and all their air conditioning stuff was efficient before they started this?
They did. I mean, this is a new install, and that was something they were paying attention to. I don't know the details of what they actually did, but I know that it was on their minds, and they have an environmental committee, and they, it was something that was important to them. So, and it's like brand new. It opened in spring of this year, 2024, or yeah. So. Anyway. Okay, so the next thing I just want to talk real quick about what we look for in a project, which you probably all know as co-op members, but basically, we're always looking for new projects. We want nonprofits, community-oriented businesses, local businesses, but we also need, building owners that are committed to the project so it can actually happen, that there's enough energy usage that it makes sense, that they have a good roof, because, that's key. Generally, you want something flat or south-facing, or southeast or southwest, but generally south-facing. And we're 30 kilowatts, it's not a hard and fast rule, but if you get smaller than that, it gets much harder to make the economics work. And even 30 kilowatts might be a little small. So that, especially if you want a power purchase agreement, because of the amount of money it costs to manage the whole thing, and we want to be able to give a good price per watt when selling the electricity. So there's always a balance between, the size of the system, because the larger the system, the less you're going to pay the installer per watt. And so it's like a balancing game that you need to play. So that's why I wrote that 30 kilowatts. And the other thing is that the organization needs a commitment to the community, and that they're going to be there a long time, because it does take a while for the solar to pay back. And also, we don't want a project that's going to disappear. So anyway, any questions about that? I'm not looking at the chat, so if it's in the chat, I don't see it. Okay, so upcoming projects. We have potentially 2 more projects with Weaver's Way.
Wow.
Maybe. One of them, so they have 4 grocery stores, but also some other buildings, and they've been around for 50 years. So they're well established, very committed to the community. But the answer to the question of are they happy is they were like, okay, what can we do next? So happy. But the next one that they're talking about is kind of a small project. That building is it's across the street from their original grocery store. They do own the property. They actually lease part of the building to a group that sells products. And we're just in the beginning talking about it. We've asked for some estimated proposals to get a better sense of what it would cost and whether it makes sense. They would want to do the power purchase agreement again, so they're on the small side for that. So it's really, we're just starting the conversation on this one. Any questions on that one? No. Okay, so now this one is a much more appealing project in terms of the size. Huge, 122 kilowatts would be the largest, twice as big as the store we just did. But the problem with this one is that the ownership, these guys rent from, they have a sublease to someone else who has a lease, and there's 2 owners that own the land underneath us. Now, it is possible that they would all cooperate and we could make it happen, but we were working on this, as you can see, in 2022, 2023, but they were also trying to open the store in Germantown. So they were like, we can't handle this. Let's just focus on Germantown. So we need to come back and visit this.
Can I
But
unplug that?
they're not
Yeah.
quite ready.
So
So
in here?
we still have it on our list, and it would be a great project, but we'd have to figure out the, you know, the ownership and how that will work. And they need to be committed to the store itself, which when we were first talking to them, it was a fairly new store, but now, you know, they've been there a while and they have a better sense of how successful it is and how committed they are to the space. So those are conversations that will happen in the future. Any questions on this one? No.
The
Okay.
the
Oh, yes.
63% increase to general liability insurance, is that for the
Oh.
co-op or is that for Weaver's Way?
No, you know what? That is, yeah, that was, Jack, can you answer that question about the
Sure, that
insurance?
was to the co-op. That
Yeah.
happened last year, and this year we got another 15% increase.
The clean energy co-op, mind you.
The Clean Energy
Because-
Co-op.
Yeah,
for
not
the-
Weaver's Way.
So yes, that affects our ability to price projects and what the host pays in their electricity bills to us. So yeah, when we got that 60% price increase last year, it changed our negotiation with them. We had kind of preset expectations for what kind of price we could provide. And then that hit us and we had to reset. And
Yeah.
that didn't encourage them to continue either. But they did want to do Germantown. And so
Yeah.
we ended up being able to price it reasonably. So they're not losing money.
Mhm. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so we had a lot of press. We had articles in the Weaver's Way Shuttle, which is I think it's a monthly, and a number of other places. And it resulted in a lot of people sending emails to us at the Clean Energy Co-op. So that was great. And we actually have a list of a number of projects to investigate, but these are some of the more promising. There's someone who he's like a local mid-30s, been living in Germantown, Mount Airy his whole life, and he owns this Ultima Coffee, which is a kind of community-based coffee place, and he's very interested in it. But he could do it as a loan, so it would be a relatively small project. But since when it's a loan, the financing is very different, so you can do a smaller project. So we're talking with him. He's supposed to get a quote for the project to start the conversation. Vernon House Co-op Apartments is a very well-established old co-op, and they reached out and they're talking to their board about it. We actually had someone from there come to our celebration at the Germantown store. And it was a different person than the person had been talking to me. So that was good. He was, and she's on the board. So that's another one we're exploring. That one is like a U-shaped roof. Looks like it's a reasonably sized, and it's 1 meter for the whole thing. So it very much simplifies, having to manage. In fact, it might be the only way you could do apartments. And it is a co-op, so we haven't actually talked as a board whether we think that's a great idea, but we're just kind of exploring it. But the fact that it's a co-op of people makes it a little more different than just an apartment building. So, but that's up for discussion. Another one, the Germantown Life Enrichment Center. That one is challenging because it's an old building. They need to do a lot of renovations, but there is some interest in having solar be part of the renovation. So that's under discussion. They have a reasonably good south-facing roof. So that's a possibility. And we are always welcome to suggestions. And these actually happen to all be in Germantown, which is part of Philadelphia. But that certainly isn't where we need to work. It's just that's where the store was. So I guess that's where people heard about it and sent us emails. But anyway, other projects, if anyone has any ideas, you could talk about them now, or you could tell me, you could send an email or whatever.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do the projects have to be in Pennsylvania? I know the investors do, but do the projects have to be in Pennsylvania?
We actually had that question come up in the committee just last week, Kathy. Um, Legally, we could extend projects elsewhere, but the amount of overhead to do that might not be worth it at this time. So we'd have to register as a corporation in that other state. We'd have to pay taxes in that other state. We'd have to do extra accounting costs, extra insurance costs. Maybe someday.
But it is an interesting question because I was asked that question about 2 specific projects in New Jersey. So we'll see. I mean, I suppose it depends on the size of the project and whether it makes financial sense. But yeah, but like you said, the investors are Pennsylvania. So now you can't go to the community to say, hey, you want to join the co-op, you can, buy, well, they can join the co-op, but they can't purchase preferred shares. So it would change kind of the way we talk about the co-op, right?
Yep. And Jason put in chat, we'd love to do one in the Western PA, and we would too. But
Yes.
we need a Western PA chapter.
Yeah. We can't do it all.
We've tried to help some local interest groups in the Pittsburgh area start a chapter, but we haven't proceeded very far in that process. So one of the key things we do need for our projects is to have someone on our project development committee who is reasonably close geographically to kind of oversee and help support the local issues that come up and be part of the champion in the community.
I put Marion's project development committee chair email in the chat if anyone has some ideas that you want to throw out to the committee.
Thank you.
Great. Brent, you're up.
Okay, so I mean, Marion covered the biggest thing for us, which we've all been working on for a long time, which is the Weaver's Way project. So we'll look at a couple of photos and a video, a quick video on that in a second. We have 17 new members this year. I think that brings us to 34. We were actively tabling at different environmental events for all over Philly and Havertown. We had, as Marion mentioned, we had some pretty good press coverage. The publications out of Weaver's Way are good. They do a really good newsletter, but also this is only probably known to local Southeast PA folks, but Grid Magazine is a sustainability magazine that is a really high quality magazine for local production, and people with a mindset like we have pay a lot of attention to it. So they gave us a really nice article that quoted Marion and our chapter chair, Joy. So we've had some good coverage. We've done a number of info sessions. We get pretty good attendance to those, and we usually come up with a project or two that people are interested in talking through. None of those have developed very far yet, but we'll continue to have those. We have the completion of the project that Marion mentioned, and we had a celebration this past weekend, which Chris came down for, and it was, there you can see, it was a perfect day. You just couldn't have asked for a better day. We had a nice turnout, and the Weaver's Way folks were very supportive, putting out tables and just doing everything we could ask of them. We had speakers from Weaver's Way and from the co-op and from Solar States, the installer for this project. And I don't know, anything else we'd say about that, Marion, before we go over to we were sorry Jack couldn't be there. As much work as he had put into this, we thought he should have been there, but next project we'll have you there for that one.
I did have 8 family members show up.
Oh, okay, that makes the crowd seem less significant then.
Yeah, no, they're not in that though. They were
Oh,
late.
okay, okay.
So,
Good, and we
They
got a lot
came
of
for
what,
that.
we got a lot of walk-by interest too, as people are coming
Yeah.
to shop, so that
Yeah.
was good.
and we had
Uh,
the video playing on that TV that you can sort of see there.
Yeah, the video is
people got to
great
see that.
that Miriam put together. That's not the one we're gonna see in a second, so I guess we could move
Yeah.
on to that. And we had one small snafu where we were supposed to have we had a big banner made. So when we were gonna do this drone shot, we were gonna have a much bigger banner, but that didn't make it there. So we had this smaller banner, but it still works, we think. And it's just like it was just such a fun uplifting event, and it's a great looking installation, and the store is great, and it's a great neighborhood for that to be in. So we're really happy and proud of that project. So I guess if there are any questions for me about Southeast Chapter, I'll take those, and otherwise we'll watch this quick video of us celebrating on Saturday.
That's my grandbaby.
We're chanting. I don't know why that didn't.
Oh yeah, we
I'm
didn't
not
hear.
sure
It's
it's-
yeah.
Same
Same
chanted,
problem with the
yeah.
sound.
Same
Yeah,
problem we had with
sorry.
the other video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if you go to the website, you can see this also.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one version of it, not quite this one, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's Sunny the dog, just so you know.
But we were saying the Clean Energy Co-op and Weaver's Way Co-op, we did this together. I think that's what, right? We
did
did,
it, just
we
more or
we
less,
did
yeah.
it.
We
We
did
did
it.
it.
Yeah.
It was good.
It really is a great looking installation.
Yeah.
So thanks so much to all of you that supported that. We're really happy about that. That's all I have.
All right.
Great.
So I think, are we getting ready? Oh, no, I think there's one more slide for the Southeast Chapter, and then we should get to the vote because people
Yeah.
have to
People
leave.
need to leave.
Yeah. Oh, I think the the slide is just announcing the annual
Oh,
chapter, which will also go out in an email, I'm sure.
okay. Yeah. So that's coming up in December, our annual meeting.
Chuck, you want to run the election?
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
the voting is going to be accomplished by going to a Zoom poll, and or if you need to write in for your vote, you could do that in the chat.
Okay. We can Zoom. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm having trouble again.
One other item related to voting, if there's two people who are coming in on the same Zoom, just let us know that there's two that are voting instead of just one.
So you want to review the names of the two candidates because that got taken off the slide at some point.
Okay, the two candidates are Christine Wigan and Elena Probst.
No, it's Barbara. How will you read it?
So both of those individuals are currently serving on the board, so this would be renewing their term for another 3 years.
What it is, we're watching a Zoom meeting right now. What do you got?
Is there a vote or?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a screen to vote, and I
Four.
cannot seem to find it. Hang on, wait, I have one other idea.
I like Mark's that method. Yes to both. Right in the chat.
Well, we can do a voice vote since there are only the two. Although I would want to give people an opportunity to put a write-in if you wanted to. That's usually what happens, but,
I'm not a member and I'm not gonna vote.
Yeah, well, looking at.
the other issue that we have, of course, is, according to our bylaws, we're supposed to have 20% of our
I mean,
membership have a quorum.
Okay.
And,
What are you
I
doing?
don't think we have that tonight, so.
We're very
They have
close.
to do it.
We're,
Barbara, not now, please.
Could some people mute, if they're talking and to each other?
So anyway, yes, it looks like a lot of people are putting, just putting yes to both in the chat, which I guess can work. And then maybe we'll just count up.
How,
if we
how
can get
many,
our 38 people.
how many
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
160 members or something, or
188 we're up to.
188. Okay.
188, yeah.
That's a lot.
So what we've done in the past is we've had, well, back in the day when we didn't have Zoom meetings, we had actual mail-in ballot, and people could bring it to the meeting or mail it back. And then once we got on Zoom, we started doing electronic email ballot. Well, it's not really email, but an electronic ballot. So I thought we would try this year, but somehow the technology is evading me.
How do we do, you wanna do that? please, sir?
Oh wait, maybe I found it.
We're on video.
Did it come up?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's cool. Well, we'll do it just for the heck of it.
maybe you had to stop sharing the screen, my screen first to get it to work.
Oh, maybe. Okay, yes, that could be.
So if we've already voted in the chat, you don't want us to vote again, do you? Double dipping?
No, I mean, we don't have 38 people no matter what, but I don't know. I just think the poll's cool.
I did vote on the poll, and I did.
Okay,
vote-
yeah, that's fine.
I did
Either way.
vote twice.
I sort of wanted that, people to have their chance of anonymity, not that it matters that much really in our group, but anyway.
We're not that short of 38. Can you,
Can we call some people?
are you allowed to reach out to some people and say,
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we can talk about that as a board after the meeting. Deborah? You're muted.
Katie Homans and Patterson Sims were on at the beginning, but they had to leave, but they would
Oh, okay.
definitely have voted 2
Okay.
votes.
All right, so that's 2 more. Great.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, Georgette.
Yeah, I don't see me on the screen, so maybe I'm a persona non grata, I don't know, but I
can see you.
voted for, and so did Barbara, who is
Barbara
next to
too.
me.
Okay.
Somehow we are not visual on this, which is,
I see
maybe-
you.
You're visual.
can you see me?
Yeah. Mhm.
I-
Oh my God, I gotta do my hair.
Okay, okay, so you got 2 votes. to
Okay.
approve.
2 for you guys. Great.
Okay.
Right. I think we'll be able to eke out 38
All
votes
right.
I think we're at 28 right now who are on.
who are
So-
on. Okay.
We only
Perfect.
need 10 more.
Can I
Okay.
say something?
Absolutely, Pete.
Okay, I was told by an attorney years ago that the quorum is only, you only have to worry about it if somebody questions it.
Oh,
If nobody questions you, whether you have a quorum or not.
oh, okay. All right.
So I would say we don't have anything to worry about unless somebody
Okay.
questions it, and then we can run another election.
All right.
Okay.
Is anyone opposed to being slightly shy of a quorum? John Pace.
I stuck my wife's name in here too. She just voted. She was next to me.
Oh,
I just
thank
wanted to
you.
be sure. And then you
Thank you,
should
Jessica.
also count Vincent's finger, which has been attending most of the night in his camera.
Where's there's Vincent's finger, right? Very good.
I
And since
I
it's
thought
5
that
of
was cheating.
Stop it.
It's okay.
All right.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. So yes, we are a little short on time, but we did want to offer any other opportunities for question and answer. Although it was nice to kind of address them as they came up. So does anyone else have any comments, questions?
May I?
Yes,
ahead.
Barbara.
Barb, I adjournment, okay.
No, no, no,
I
you're good.
just want to say that I have not been a faithful member, but I am with you all the way. And I am so proud of the Weavers and what they've done and our organization helping them. I think it's the way to go. And we have to look forward to more opportunities. And I've been thinking some.
Great.
Great. Great, thank you.
Barbara.
All right, then.
Adjourned.
I'll sign off.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Well, motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Thank you for
adjourn.
doing the work, folks.
Yes, and
Thanks, everyone.
Really.
welcome participation anytime.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
and check out the website, because I put a lot of work into that and no one goes there. So
Yes,
go.
It's worth it. It's worth the trip over
it's
there.
worth it. Got to go watch the video.
Thank you.
Good.
Don't forget that the
Great.
board members got to stay on.
Yes, board members.
That's
are-
right. Yeah. we're
Those
Those
staying.
are the ones that get paid, though.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, okay, we know where it goes now. Okay.
Yeah.
Good night,
Bye,
all.
everyone.
Good night.
Right,
Bye.
thank you.
Buonasera.
I'm gonna need about 10 minutes.
Okay,
Okay, I'm really sorry. Okay.
you have to sign off in 10 minutes or you need 10 minutes?
No, I need 10 minutes before I can get back, if that's okay.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna be
We might
quick.
be.
Okay, cool, excellent.
Do you, does the date and time still work for you? That's one thing. The
Which-
Thursday.
Most, we've been doing more random Tuesdays and stuff, but if that's good with everyone else, I'm happy to stay with
Okay,
that.
all right, so we'll do that. All right. So run, if we're not here when
I'm
you get
sorry.
back, it's okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Elena.
Newly elected, Elena.
Yes, that's right. Re-elected.
Re-elected.
Yeah. Good. So that is one of the things we need to settle on is, do we want to keep it as our board meeting on the third, are we the third Tuesday? No. Oh my gosh, how could I forget
Fourth.
that?
Fourth, because it's after the project development.
Fourth Tuesday and the project development is the third Thursday. Right.
Thursday.
Fourth
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I'm working on the time. I haven't sent something out, but yeah.
Okay. And we were at 5:30, but all of those things are up for discussion if anyone has a desire to change.
Yeah, I'm good. And I apologize. Thursday, I missed the meeting. I was
Oh.
out in Fayette County for that thing. So I
Yeah.
apologize, you guys. And I am setting these times in my work Outlook calendar so
Oh,
I don't miss
right.
them again because
Right.
that
Mhm.
seems to be the number one priority lately. So if it's in my work thing, I'm good. I
Yeah.
won't miss.
It happens. Yeah, and I apologize for not introducing you, Mark. I got, since I don't know what happened to my technology and I couldn't find people. I don't know. It just,
No, that's fine.
I'm not
That's
very
fine with
good.
me.
So, yeah,
And the poll
okay.
was
Mhm.
really well done. That was pretty cool.
The poll was
I see.
supposed to be cool. I don't know. I don't understand what happened, but maybe you're right, Jack, that since I
So
didn't have it, I don't know.
Christine,
Yeah.
did you get a result though?
I
Yeah,
saw them flash up. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I
it did
shared the
flash?
result,
Oh, I didn't
and I
see it.
should
Really?
have it anyway, but there was only, we were down to 17 people. So I'll check the, oh,
Okay.
you know what? I'm recording. Hang on. I should stop the recording.
Oh, yeah.
Stop the recording. So anyway,